What's going on, everybody? It's Mike, Brandon, and Kayla from Tiny Box Vape Shop, and today we want to talk. This is the third part of our series on how to open a vape shop, and we want to talk about staffing. So, Kayla, what do you think? What's outside of so initially we talked about finding the spot, getting your cases, making sure you had enough money to pay for your rent and you were getting affordable rent. Second episode, Brandon, you and I talked about finding vendors, getting juice, making sure that you had the proper type of product and how much you should probably spend on product. But I would say that the most important thing is staff. You guys agree with me on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so Brandon, do you want to give some ideas as to why staff is so important?
All right. Well, I mean, first thing you got to start with is one, they got to be trustworthy. You're leaving a lot of your product and your money in their hands at all times. Second thing is knowledgeable. Definitely knowing your products, definitely knowing coils, definitely mods, so on and so forth. Customer service is key. You don't really want somebody grumpy behind the counter all day. And
I mean, all those are really valid points. And Kayla, so you have a business besides this, and at one point I told you something. Do you remember this, what I told you?
Yes.
What do you wish on your worst enemies?
Employees.
That's right. So I was taught by a very wise businessman once that the one thing you wish on your worst enemies is employees. Okay, so here at Tiny Box, we do things a little different than most people, so you can take this as it stands or you can not if you don't want to. However, we do things family style, meaning everybody who works here is family. We all treat each other like family. We all look out for each other like family. We will do anything for one another. So that makes it a lot easier, I think, but sometimes it makes it a little weird or a little hard.
Yeah.
it'd be awkward at some points, yeah.
What do you guys think? I mean, because I feel like it makes it funner to work here sometimes.
Yeah.
It
But
definitely does.
we don't have a problem getting in each other's business.
No, but sometimes we butt heads.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
human.
Yeah,
Everybody
I mean,
does it.
we're human, but also being family, it's like, okay, I want to nicely tell them to do this, but at the same time, I kind of want to rip their head off.
But I think it also makes it easier for if you do want to tell us pretty bluntly, and you're like, "Who left this here?" And we're like, "I did." You know what I mean? But because we're so close, it's not like, "Oh, why is that lady being a bitch?" or something. You know, we can learn to really get along with one another. Now, whether or not you're going to do that with your vape shop, that's completely up to you. But one thing that you need to know how to do, and that's compensation. Do you guys agree with me on that?
Yeah.
Okay, so everybody here's a salesman, except that each one of us has our own individual projects. Like, I'm the owner, so I have to be a salesman, but I have to make sure that all our purchasing is correct. I have to make sure we're purchasing the correct products. I have to make sure that we're purchasing the correct tasting juice. And if I make a blunder on that, or what I'm doing is incorrect, then I have to hold the onus of it. And I have help from my staff because we get along so well. Kayla has a very, very important role here. And before we had a Kayla, and I would argue you should probably have a Kayla, but before we had a Kayla, it was very disorganized. Kayla, do you want to explain?
Yeah. There was lack of inventory knowledge. Things were very unorganized. But so I came in, fixed up the shop, and we were able to roll with all the punches a lot easier than I'm sure that they did before I got here.
So before Kayla got here, it was just kind of like find it if you find it. Now Kayla's job is to make sure the shop looks amazing, clean wise, make sure everything in the back in our storage area is exactly where it's supposed to be, and then also to make sure that we know kind of what we need to order that we don't normally look at. Because sometimes you'll have juices that you don't sell as well, and Kayla will be like, "Hey, are we still selling watermelon pop clouds?" Which we'll always sell, but let's just say. You know what I mean? And then on top of it, Kayla is also kind of the face of our social media. I'll let you in on a secret that I don't know if a lot of Facebook people will be watching this video because this is our YouTube audience. But if you're a Facebook friend of Kayla, you're a Facebook friend of Tiny Box Kayla. That's why she lives at Tiny Box. That's why her only friends are me and Brandon and Bart. That's why she never goes to a Pirate game. But if you can find someone like that who's an asset to you, who can clean really well and who can organize really well, that's definitely one person you need. Now, Brandon, his role would be more of the kind of making sure that the staff is staffed on certain nights. He makes sure that scheduling is correct as it stands. And then on top of it, he does the final ordering. So you want to explain that kind of, Brandon?
So like the final ordering is going to be kind of going over the basis of where the inventory is at. So Kayla has it all organized. I can easily go look at it, say, okay, we need 3s in this, 6 in this, coils, all the above. So you want to kind of look at that. You want to kind of see exactly what you need, kind of base it on a weekly or bi-weekly, however you want to do your ordering. It'll probably be weekly, just so you know. But bi-weekly, so that we can kind of get a judge of what you need. With that being said, hunting around for the prices, looking at different vendors to see who's got the best price on the product, and doing your research is pretty key in that, I think.
And then lastly, I would say for everybody who's going to open a vape shop and you want staffing, so make sure that you have everyone is a salesman. Train them to be salesmen. Secondarily, everyone has their role. There's been plenty of times when Brandon's like, oh, I'm going to stock these shelves. And I'm like, that's Kayla's job. If you want to pay Kayla's salary, you can go ahead and stock those shelves, and I'll just take it out of your salary, Brandon. And then all of a sudden he's like, oh, yeah, I guess I have other stuff to do. And I'm like, that's right. That sounds really mean. I apologize. But more importantly than all that, as the owner, you need to pay your staff well. So everyone who works here is on a commission basis or a bonus basis. If you don't like that idea, you don't understand that idea, you're going to get what you paid for. If you have $9 hour employees, that's why you get $9 an hour service. When you go over to, I'm not going to mention our competition's name, but you can tell that they pay their guys minimum wage. I don't want to openly say how much either of these guys make, but I'll say that Kayla gets the second highest commission here, Brandon gets the highest commission here, but then Kayla gets a bonus every week for us using her likeness on the internet. So she gets paid an extra bonus for that. So make sure that the bonus structure is set up properly. If you're asking me how I personally would hire my first employee and how much I would pay them, now that I've done this for almost 5 years, going back, I would say I would start them at about $12 an hour and about a 2% or 4% commission. That's about where I'd be with that. And then Kayla also, so Kayla will have 2 shifts where she just does organizing and cleaning, and she gets a higher wage on those days. And then on her sales shifts, she gets $12 an hour plus her commission rate. And I won't tell everybody in the world what the commission rate is.
We're happy.
But I can say this, when you have a staff like that, when you have product like we showed you, when you have all those things like that, you have the makings for what we're doing over here. So our sales numbers right now are in between $1,400 and $1,800 a day, and our goal is to be at $3,000 a day within the next 5 months, which is why we're blowing up our social media, we're adding to our salt, we're adding to our CBD, all that stuff. But if you don't pay your staff well,
you don't get quality.
Yeah, you're not going to get quality. Well, and you're not going to get the family environment, because if you're doing $1,400 a day in sales, these guys eventually are going to figure out how much the shop's bringing in and go, well, he's making X and I'm only getting $9 an hour. Okay, guys, so that's a real quick short one. We're going to add one last one to kind of explain to you how to find vendors. But after that, you should be ready to open your vape shop. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.